Okay, guys, so welcome back. Hey, so today what we're going to be talking about is going to be substitution. So just to remind you, we have one more concept after this, and then we're going to be talking about a quiz review. And then right after you come back is when we're going to take the quiz. If you come back from, so so we'll be taking that quiz soon. That means you got to be ready because you're going to need to know some of these topics well enough to pass the quiz. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so now if you don't have this in your notes, then you should be writing it right now in your notes. Okay, it should be in your note packet. What we're going to be doing is we're looking at taking a formula, and this is a formula you're going to use in your CTE classes, right? You're going to take a formula, and then you're going to figure out what values they do give you, and then from that substitute those values in to find the value that they've left. They'll always give you. If it's a formula like this, they have to give you two of them to be able to find the third. They have to, or you can't do it. Okay. So that's what we're going to do with this. So what we're going to do is just write this out. So we have V equals T times G. So I'm going to look for where do I have G, and here's my G, which is 9.8, and my T is right here, which is 12. So this is simple. We're going to keep most of these pretty simple for you. We're going to have V equals, T was 12 seconds, right? So 12 seconds times G, which is 9.8 meters per second squared. Okay. All right. So now all we're going to do is multiply our numbers. Okay. So I have that 12 times 9.8 equals 117.60. Right. And so then what that means is I have to look also that I had seconds over second squared, which means seconds times seconds, right? So these would be, one of these would reduce. Now this isn't, we're not gonna hold you strong to this, right? That you understand this. This is more like an 8th and 9th grade concept that I just showed you. It's called dimensional analysis. And then so our answer would be that the V equals 117.6 meters per second. Because we had meters per second squared, and so we still have meters per second. We're not really going to hold you to that part on that you know that meters per second and versus meters per second squared, because that's not a 7th grade concept. We do expect you to be able to plug it in. Now your CTE class might expect you to be able to figure out what type of unit you're talking about. So be ready for it, but it's coming up. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so on this one, again, we have a formula, right? So we have this formula right here, and then we have to look and say, well, what are the rates they give us? What are the things they give us? They give us the rate, and they give us the time. This is that distance equals rate times time. That's a good one to know. We're going to work on it, but you're also going to use that in your science class. That's going to be one of the most common ones. There's some things we're going to try to do with it later, but right now we're just going to stay simple, keep it simple. So we're going to have the distance equals rate times time. And if we look, the rate they gave us was 56 and meters per second. Okay, and then 22 seconds, right? That's our time. Okay, so really all we're doing is multiplying the 56 times the 22. Okay, so we have 1,232. And then when we look at our units, we're going to reduce the seconds. This is not important for you to know, but your distance is going to be 1,232 meters. Okay, so when you're doing it with us on Canvas, we probably are not asking you to put in the units. It might, if it's multiple choice, you might see the units, but you're not writing the units So that's what people are making a lot of mistakes on. They're not being careful. So be careful what you write. Your work should show that you know it's in meters, but where your answer will be is probably not in meters, or it's going to be written. Okay, so this is the next one. This one's the one that's a little trickier, but really it's about the same thing, right? So when we look at this, all you're going to do is substitute. So what it's going to ask is, look, this is the formula to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, or from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So notice we say we equal Celsius. So we're going to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. Fahrenheit is how we measure temperature here in the United States. Celsius is how everybody else in the world measures temperature. Okay? Okay, so what we're going to do, we just substitute, right? So here's our degrees Fahrenheit. So we say that Celsius equals the degree Fahrenheit. You have to pay attention to what's being done. So you have to have 98 minus the 32, right? Because that was already there. And then we're going to multiply that all times 5/9. So we have to figure out 98 minus 32 is 66. We have to turn that, because we're going to be multiplying times the fraction next, right? Times 5/9. And so that means 66 times 5 is 330. And 1 times 9 is 9. Now, if I look at this, I know I'm going to reduce, because 3 times 110 equals 330, and 3 times 3 equals 9. So these ones reduce. And this should be a review. That part right there should not be something new. So it means we have 110 thirds. And so if I look at 110 thirds, that's going to give me, I mean, you can put it in the calculator, and basically what you're going to have is 36 and 2/3. So what that means is that 98 degrees in Fahrenheit equals 36 and 2/3 degrees Celsius. That's how that works. You substitute it in, you simplify, and it gives you your answer. And then you have to know what you just found. So you have to go back and look at that formula. Now, the reason why we're teaching this right now is your CTE teachers were saying that you struggle with formulas, and they wanted us to help you fix that. So, okay, so now we've done 3, and those 3 probably a little harder and not something we're really going to focus on in our class. But they're how you use a formula, and those are formulas you're going to have to use in your CTE classes. Okay, so now these are 2 that we're going to use in class, but these are also 2 that we think you already have been taught at least once, and you've seen it. But it's the same principle. We're going to you're trying to find something. You're going to plug the values into the formula, just like we did on those 3. And then you're going to come up with an answer or a solution, and then you have an answer which is written in sentence form. So hit pause right now and plug these in, and let's see if you get these correct. You've had 3 examples of how to do it, and now just plug the values in, and what do you come up with for an answer? So hit pause, see if you could do it, and then when you're done, push play to see if you got the right answer. If you got the right answer and your work is clear, then you know what you're doing. If not, if you didn't get the same answer I have, then you should be watching as I do it to see where your mistake is. And after looking at my explanation, if you still don't know what you did wrong, then write your question down and come to class. Don't look at it for an hour. Don't spend more than 10 minutes on these, okay? Now, you'll also notice that down below, there are some fraction review problems. So I'm going to expect that you're going to come to class having done these, but these are problems that you should already have experienced in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. If you don't know what you're doing with them, and you can't do it, then write your questions down, come to class, and we'll talk about it. So your job right now is to use the information you have on these two, hit pause, do these two problems, see if you come up with the right answer. Okay, so you should have that the area equals 30 units squared. So you probably want to write that down and make sure you know area is always going to be units squared. And the volume of example 5 is that the volume equals 120 units cubed. Okay, if you didn't get these answers, then you need to keep watching. If you did get these answers and you showed your work, you know what you're doing. Now do those 4 problems and see if you know what those are. If you don't know how to do those, if you're looking at it, you're just like, man, I don't remember this at all. You're like 4 out of 3 people that don't like fractions. Well, then come to class, write your questions and show me. Okay? All right. So this is kind of like what we've been doing here. You know why elevator jokes are so good? Because they work on many levels. Okay. So anyway, some of you that persevered here, you just got that, and so you got to enjoy that little humor. That's kind of fun. Huh? Okay. And so you would say this is volume is always in units cubed. Okay. And so you're watching right now only because you didn't get the right answer and you're trying to figure out what you did wrong. So now what you're doing is you're watching, you're going to maybe over on the right hand side, you're going to write down how I did it. And then you're going to look to see if you could see where your mistake is. If you could see your mistake, man, that's powerful. If you can't see your mistake, don't spend more than a couple minutes looking at it, trying to figure it out, and then come to class and ask questions. So it says that the area equals the base times the height divided by 2. And they tell me that my base is 15 and that my height is 4. So really all I'm doing is saying, oh, I'm going to have area equals the base, which is 15, times the height, which is 4, divided by 2, right? That's a constant there, which means that's 15 times 4 is 60, divided by 2 is 30. And then I have to remember that area is always in square units. If it's centimeters, inches, yards, it's always in square units. So this is 30 square units squared. Now, if you're doing the work, you don't have to write the units in, okay? All right, so now when we look at this next one, again, it's pretty simple. We have the volume equals the length times the width times the height. So we look and we see that we have the height is there, that the width is here, and the length is right here. So we just substitute. That's the whole purpose of this lesson. We're substituting. Take volume equals the length, which is 3, times the width, which is 5, times the height, which is 8. We just multiply 3 times 5 times 8. Use your multiplication table. That's 15. You can look at this and say that's 40 times 3, which is 120 units cubed, because it's volume. We're multiplying 3 different units together. And that's how you do that. That's it. Notice this is a 15-minute video, but it had explanation in it. And if you understand what you're doing with this, then you're great. If you got questions, you're coming in and you're asking questions in class. But you're not going to spend another 10 minutes looking at this and trying to figure out what you do and don't know and why you don't know it. Because that's my job, is to help you understand. So you're watching this to take notes, see if you understand it, and write down your questions so you can come to class with questions. All right. Good luck. Have a good night.